Welcome back to the Koa Sports League.
Welcome back to the Koa Sports League.
Welcome back to the Koa Sports League.
We've got live broadcasts like you've never seen before.
Sinclair's holding them off. Cohen's off the front. Giuliano up the inside. Looks like Giuliano's going to time that attack perfectly.
We've got a pre-show like you've never seen before.
And in the race tonight, Alessio has a victim, and he's beaten him twice out of 2 times they've ever raced, and that's Yuri. So he's got the wood, as we like to say.
We've got live workouts like you've never seen before.
Seconds to go, 7 seconds to go. Start to grit those teeth, and you've just got to loosen the grip and push a little bit harder.
Performance verification like you've never seen before. Hang on. Whoa. Wait, hey. Mate, you're in the book. What's your Valentine? Right, you're in the book, mate. You're in the book. Kent Cross, you're in the book.
And it's all free.
And it's all free.
And it's all free. And welcome back to Season 2 of the Koa Sports League. I'm Greg McDermott, and I am, not so much tonight, looks like I'm in Antarctica or something. We have on an added secret location, actually, I will add. So welcome to Tim Ballantyne, somewhere else on the planet.
What an absolute stitch up. Is he with... Did you know, Greg, that Penguin have no knees?
Well, you'd have to listen to season whatever. Let's listen to the Koa Sports podcast, and you'll find all about how Penguins had knees, didn't have knees, and now they have knees again, Tim. So what an exciting night, Tim. Over 300 registrations for the Koa Sports League. Night 1, which we are terming a pilot night. So a little bit of testing. No points tonight, but there will be some red hot racing as we hit New York, Astoria, line 8.
Should I do the solo like last time we were in New York? Start spreading the news. No, I'll leave that. So we've wound up early here because, of course, the race isn't until, about 25 minutes away or 20 minutes away. So what we thought we might do is give people a bit of a chance, not only on Facebook, but we've definitely had some, let's call it, frequently asked questions. And I love questions. I love questions from the public. I like questions that are really obvious. And I thought that, Greg, if you want to fire a few through, we've got 5 that may help people that have just seemed to come through in the last week or so. Totally fine, of course. So fire away, mate.
Okay, mate. So there may be a hint of maybe some sarcasm through some of the some of these things.
I love people.
Right. Okay. And just to address the fact that yes, I am in Antarctica. We are social distancing tonight, which everyone around the planet should be doing at the moment. So. Number 1, Tim. I can't see the race or in Zwift or on Zwift Power. Please help me out.
Extraordinary question. The first time I got it, I was baffled. The 10th time, I started to get a little bit annoyed.
The 100th?
Yeah. So the reason why you can't see the race on the Zwift Companion app or Zwift Power is it's private. So there's no way to access it unless you are, of course, a member. So as soon as you enter the event, you'll see it on your Zwift Companion app. So that is why. So how we verify is obviously via Training Peaks. So over just a tick over 60% of our members have gone through the verification process. Some very much for the first time linking into Training Peaks. So really excited to see that. But that is why you can't see it. So a lot of people, they heard about the events and they're like, I can't find it. And Bob's your uncle. It's actually in your My Account page. So if you are looking to, of course, join this race or other Koa Sports League races, join. It's free. But you'll have to go a little bit of a process to find it, down a little rabbit hole, just a little one.
So when you do, I've learned this one from experience myself. So when you do pop in on your login, up on the top right-hand corner of the screen, it'll say My Account. Click on that and you'll have event links if you have registered and, of course, verified for these particular events as well. So second question, I can't log in. I can't log in, Tim. What's going on?
Yep, sure. So this has come through about 1 in every 10 are having this technical issue. So it's not a login issue. Once you register, you've got 72 hours to basically activate the link that gets sent back to you when you get added as a member. So a few people have just sort of let that slide a little bit too long, and it just gets a little bit lost in the process. So we're trying to push it through to as many as possible. Of course, this is the first week for the free league, so we're also feeling our way through. So just be patient, and if you can't log in, of course, we're happy to hear that. But just understand that check your spam or check your junk mail, and 9 times out of 10, the email has been in there, that then you can go ahead and complete the registration process. So, keep an eye out for that. But once we sort of get to the bottom of it, you should be absolutely fine.
Yeah, nice. And question number 3, and I love a prediction, Tim. I love a prediction. So I'm going to say there's 20 countries represented in the paddock this evening. Just
20.
made that up straight off.
32 in the league.
So 20 countries means that we've probably got 67 time zones. So now my next question is, what time are the races on?
This has been a really common one. What time? And we're looking to move the event calendar front and center. We've taken that feedback, so that'll be located on the homepage soon enough. But just under the private events tab on the Koa Sports League website, you'll see event calendar. You click that, and the calendar works in such a way that it will populate, obviously, to the time that your computer is pushing through. So that'll tell you the times of the Koa Sports League events. And Greg, I'll wait for the next question, but I nearly went there straight away.
Tim, now, I've had this request a couple of times,
yes,
and this comes from the right place.
No, I love people.
It comes from the right place, Tim. But can you change the race times for me?
Well, let me give you a lesson in geography. The world is round and it rotates. So it means that some people have races available at different times. And yes, whilst we would love everyone to race at 6 a.m. in the morning, it's just not possible. So the old saying about trying to please everyone, you'll never please anyone. So this is a bit of this situation. So we've tried to spread the love as much as we can. We obviously look at, where our members are coming from mostly. But of course, as we grow, we'll be looking to add more and more events. But at this stage, they certainly do favour parts of the world. But we will look to expand that over time. So if you are keen for us to change times by 30 minutes so you can get the kids to bed, I'm sorry about that. I would suggest, like me, choosing a much shorter story.
So Kappa and I don't have to worry about that little issue. But
green eggs and ham is good.
Way too long, is it? Way too long.
Too long.
Okay, so last question, and probably a really pertinent one, because we are doing, Tim, something here that no one else has ever attempted before, and I'm not saying that to sound like we've done an awesome job, but we are working through
Careful, mate, that penguin's going to get you.
All this sort of stuff. So the last question, and a really important one, is how do I verify to get into these private races? Because I'm sure there's people watching that haven't quite done that yet.
Yeah, sure. We were a little bit unsure about the verification process, so whether it would turn people off. We've been really surprised, to be frank, about how many people have taken on the verification process. It's really simple. We said it in that introduction video that we want to look at the training data, not just the racing. So typically, racing might make up 10% of your data for the week, and that just really simply isn't enough. So we want to be able to see everything. So that's why we're doing it. So how do you go about verifying? So if you are a Koa Sports athlete coached by one of us, you're already done. You're connected, obviously, to a coach. But it's free anyway. You just get a free basic Training Peaks account, and when you've joined, it'll ask you whether you want to get verified, and that will give you access to our prize races, or the races that we actually score, that we think we can put points to, because we've got the confidence in the results absolutely fully. Obviously, Zwift Power 100% does a great job. It's not a knock on them whatsoever. It just literally is a process that we're just adding that extra layer as well. So you just hit that get verified link. Just at least allow 24 hours for me to sort of get around to adding and doing all that. So it's not, when we're a Gorgon and we've got 11 staff, then maybe it'll be inside an hour. But at the moment, just allow 24 hours, be patient, and we will get around to you. Otherwise, you may get a little clip on the way through.
Just a little bit of a clip.
Just a little one.
So, mate, that is amazing. Now, we run a very tight ship here at Koa, and I can say that on my run sheet, I'm going straight to the epic promo, because we're on 7:30 p.m, 15 minutes to race start, and you guys, check this out. Yes, and we are back. And one things we like to do in the Koa Sports, or in the old, well, no, I shouldn't say the old Warrior Race. There's a Warrior Race on tomorrow. But
Easy, Tiger.
in every event we're running in the Koa Sports League, you're going to get a ride through of the course. So if you're in the paddock, you're going to get a really good understanding of what is coming up. And I will tell you what's going to come up. It's going to be a lot of burn in the quads and the calves and the hemis. So here we go with the ride through of the New York course tonight.
Alrighty, so they will come on out of the paddock. They will be doing that normal burst start, of course, Greg. One thing
Big
about
boss.
a storyline 8, and of course, little pop quiz. It is was it the first subway route?
Overland?
Yep. Okay. Well, there you go. Overland, and fine. We'll add that little bit of detail in there.
Just to make...
But look, if you look top right, if you are watching it, watch the numbers go 1, 2, 3. That's the percentage gradients. It is hardly on zero on this course, hardly whatsoever. The laps are about 11 kilometres.
Yep.
So 22 in the old with 2 laps, of course, and a ton of elevation.
Yeah, 129 per lap. So you're looking at 260.
This is not a sprinter's race.
No.
If the sprinters are there in the finish, maybe, but you'll see in a second. I don't want to jump ahead and give away the ending too quickly, but it's just a really rolly course. They cut back through the course here. They cut back through the park. Now they're back out on that far right-hand side and working their way back down south along the Central Park outskirts. And there's those rollers, 3%, 4%. It's just relentless. So what they'll want to do is definitely save a fair bit, just a fair bit for the last lap, because it's going to come pretty hard.
Yeah, absolutely. So expect a bit of a roll around, if you like. We never have that in our races, to be honest, but a little bit easier on lap 1, and then we'll start to see the attacks come in that big bunch as they come through.
Yeah, they wind through here in a sprint com here. We don't give the points here in this race, but you get that sprint com. We often use this in the live events, don't we, Greg, where we sort of wind people up and back, then they rip through this sprint com. So that comes up through here. They cut through the park. Again, that real windy. Just this is the time that they can sort of gather themselves just a little bit, sort of 1-2%ers, and starts to slowly kick up. This is where we get that attrition. That attrition on this lap, you get that 5-6%. Now they're starting to wind up. Teams start to get organised. They'll take a left-hander here onto the ramp, and there you go. This is the finish. Look at this,
finish.
8%,
Yeah.
9% right
It's
at the finish.
Absolute
9%.
kick in the guts, Tim, that ramp up to the finish. And after you've already spent all your bickies in the race, just to stay in that group, you've got to bust it off the front. And I would say tonight, with looking at who's in the field, probably about 17 watts a kilo just to take the chockies.
17.
But one of the things we like to do, Tim, and we are going to continue this right through this race series, is highlight some of the athletes that have joined us in the Koa Sports League. So let's rip right into that. We have got the first one tonight. I thought we were getting a little flick away there, but that's okay. The first athlete
Remember,
tonight...
Greg, there's no cutaway because we don't have to jump on and off the screen.
That's great. So the first athlete tonight is an athlete that's been with Koa Sports now for a couple of years, a great Ironman and 70.3 athlete out of Victoria and sporting a very thick little English accent as well. Sarah Goodyear, formerly known as the Hutch and now known as Sazza. So that's a great photo of Sarah there. She went out and got married to another one of our athletes, Tony Goodyear. They got married and then they went for a bike ride together after the wedding. So I don't know how many drinks they consumed.
They were
dragging
cans of like empty beer cans up the 1 in 20 in Victoria. It's pretty funny.
Perfect. So the best thing about to highlight with Sarah tonight, she, Tim, is our defending champion from season 1.
Certainly is.
In 2019 of the Koa Sports League. And she took home a big prize there worth a good amount of US dollars, I'd have to say as well. And she loves the hills, being a little bit sarcastic there. So another thing to note about Sarah, she runs 60 to 70 kilometres every week. So genuine triathlete, 3 to 4 swim sets, loves going to the pool and dragging Tony by his ear to the pool. So look forward to seeing Sarah absolutely busted up all these climbs actually tonight. We're not doing one climb, but looking forward to her smashing it out and maybe right at the front of that women's field as well. So good luck to Sarah.
Nice preview there, Greg. I think I'm on here. Oh, we love this, man. He was an early adopter of the Koa Sports League and the early adopter of the Koa Sports Warrior Race out on the community. A great supporter, and I've got my big bonce in front of the live and free little symbol. Here is Daryl Carter. Daryl Carter is a very, very handy triathlete. Back in the day, I would say. Holds an amazing personal best. He's in the sub-9 club. That used to mean a lot more.
Do you want to tell us a story there too? Were you in there once?
It's not self-insertion, Greg. It's not about me, but he was 7 minutes shy of the great man. He's had 218 starts on Zwift Power. 218. Had some great results. Always punching here. I don't think he's going to make the race tonight, but that's not what it's about. We want to highlight some of the great members and the league members of the of part of this league. So he's his past 10 starts. He's had 4 firsts, 2 seconds, and 2 thirds. So good form. Look for Daryl. He's a very consistent athlete, and we love to call him Dazzler. We call him Dazzler in the private group chat. And look for him through the year. I'm sure he'll have quite a few top 5 finishes in whatever category he chooses to race in. And, of course, part of the Bolt Racing team, the BRT team. And I know BRT are starting to put together a very, very handy team where we start scoring points in May. We've actually got 3 teams in at the moment. I won't reveal who they are just yet. But welcome along to Daryl Carter to the league. If he turns up tonight, great. If he gets held up, that's okay. We'll probably see him tomorrow.
Well, Tim, coming back to myself, I can give you some news. And Daryl Carter is on his trainer. He does have a 3-year-old climbing around his heels. He's
having a go.
He's literally sent through a
Father of the Year,
a little bit of a note there on Facebook. So shout out to the great Dazzler. And let's hope the little 3-year-old don't get behind those heels as he gets out of the saddle and might cop a bit of a one in the chin. So on to our third highlighted athlete of this evening, man out of the great state of Queensland, Australia, Ryan Rosselli, and coached by the great Kent Cappuccino Cross as well, I might add. So Ryan is a regular now in our Koa Sports Warrior race and really starting to ramp things up. He is not an ex-athlete. His athletic performance goes back to long jump. And cop this, ladies and gentlemen, he has a PB of 7.5 metres. So if you're clocking in at about 1.6 metres in height, you can lie down 3.5 or 4 times and Ryan will jump over your head and right to the end of your toes. So there you go. He's got an awful moustache, absolutely awful, and gets around in a little kit that the little brand he runs himself as well. Give him a quick shout out there, called What the Actual, and you will see him around many triathlon courses coming up later in the year. He's already qualified for the Ironman 70.3 World Champs in Taupo, in New Zealand in November. So we're looking forward to seeing Ryan absolutely smash it out. And thanks for joining us in the Koa Sports League, mate.
And Greg, of course, last week we made a big announcement about how we'll be obviously covering some of the CHOP, the great AHDR run by Tim Searle here. Let's look at a little promo, then we're going to throw to a stinger and straight down to the paddock. We are inside around 5 minutes to the start of this race. 2 laps of the Astoria line here in the Koa Sports League.
Hey team, got some great news to share with you. The CHOP is coming back to Zwift Community Live broadcast, with Aussies Greg and Tim calling all the action. With race broadcast starting April 9th, we guarantee you'll find some more watts. Ride on.
Kilo by Sproul. Jason's coming back. Jason's coming back over the top.
So we're in the paddock and not long to go there. You'll start to see these riders. Great to see a lot of Koa Sports jerseys coming through there, Tim, as well. And while we've got a few minutes, so I just want to actually highlight some of the riders that have joined us this evening. A huge field. So I'm going to let you kick off, A-grade, because I think that you've got that in your hand. And just before you go, a huge shout out here. Look at that first comment there coming through on the A-grade group. Alex West has just finished the gravel race and I believe did a little bit of work off the front as well. I did see it. So
bury
him
early. That's what I say. Okay, so Darryl Carter, of course, we previewed him. Hopefully he gets on. We got Rusty Devlin. Great. Actually, I'm going to give
tell us a story about Rusty, Tim.
The old head wobble moment for my good self there, just punching out a couple of emails in a cafe, and Rusty gave me a little shout out.
I knew the guy from TV, is that what he said?
Well, I'll put a bit of me. He asked for a photo. No, you didn't. Rusty didn't ask for a photo, but thanks for yelling out the other day. Tebow in there. Joel Murray stepping up in A-grade. Great to see. Tommy Morwood, one of the great salesmen of the Koa Sports League. He can sell free stuff like you wouldn't believe. Chris Piper, Alex Side out of Canada. Great to see him in there. The young man, Aidan Sinclair, he is very much a regular. Alex West, jeepers creepers, let's see him go. Jamie Baldwin in there. He's back in Monaco, I should say, over in Monaco at the moment. Liam O'Day, Dalton Stretton, and Kurt Ware.
There's a big field in A-grade, Tim. That's going to be on like Donkey Kong. And last time in the Koa Sports Warrior race, just really quickly, Aidan Sinclair was right with Alex West as they came across that last little climb, and he does say that he dropped his chain. So I'll be looking to see big things from Aidan this evening as well. Just waiting for B-grade to load up here on my little app. So we've got Matthew, #HurtLocker, coming out of Sydney, the great man BG, Brendan Geriel. We've got the Swole cyclist. We met him down at the Tour Down Under, Tim. He's a great athlete out of Sydney. We've got the academic. We've got Karim Bari, Nick Black, Steve Davies, Ignacio Acha, athlete we coach out of Brisbane, Tony Goodyear, Aristios, Steve Lane. We've got Tony Gilbraith, Nick Pilgrim. Gee, where does it stop? We're going to highlight a few.
Can I fix up a couple? Academics, Jack. He's on the podcast coming up, of course.
That's Jack Richardson.
Yeah, in C grade, Nadia Battler and Peter Donahue, great from Team ZF. Team ZF do actually have a team in. I'll throw that up there. We're inside a minute to the start. Christy Gilmore, Sarah Goodyear, Nick Assay, Scotty Parslow, Kazim, Tudor, Soft, the great Soft, spoke to him today. Well done, mate. And Jerry Delport, Christy Glenn, and Martin McGavin. And, of course, in a
lot of Melbourne athletes, Tim, there. Focused a lot of Melbourne athletes.
Well, they've sat up late.
In C grade. They must have all banded up together.
And in D grade tonight, Wheelie Chua. I've just started coaching Wheelie, so welcome along, mate. Great to see you having a go. That's what it's all about. We push it on our athletes because the benefits are incredible. And Wheelie, he's due for an FTP test.
This might be
I got news for him.
This is it.
This is it right
he
here.
Doesn't need to
and
do
he
it.
doesn't even know it. And I don't think in the country he has access to Facebook.
I'll give a shout out there to an athlete I coach in Kenya. His name's Kazim Baji as well. Panju, and he will be doing an FTP test starting in about 50 seconds as well.
Curtis Gomez and Kos Nicole rounding out D grade tonight. So if you don't mind, 50. I think we got about 50 starters, 45 to 50 in our first league race. Not for points tonight. Sorry to pour water on it, but this is just a pre-season for those Aussies. We are Aussies after all. It's like a JLT hit out. You know, I don't know whether we're going to see the very best, maybe a couple of moves just sort of holding in the back pocket. Inside 8 seconds here at the moment, 6 seconds to go, and we are going to be starting, of course, the Koa Sports League race.
Here we go. What a bloody good night, Tim. I'm very excited to bring this racing. Look at the Koa jerseys. Oh, I forgot to say, everyone's in a Koa jersey, so we are going to have one hell of a night calling this race. It's unbelievable. So a little giggle there, but we'll certainly, it looks good for the cameras, but geez, it's going to be hard work for the commentators to work through that, but we'll do our best.
That's why this is a pre-season race, because that will most definitely not be the case next week. So
Tim's nearly fallen over off his chair.
Did you hear that thump? That's my head on the floor. It just wobbled off. It just wobbled off. So great
wow.
to see, and a solid group. Will we see some early breakaways? Tebow, of course, we love Tebow. He's in there in that beret, French heritage.
We'll be able to
and
pick him
based
out.
in Brisbane, Australia at the moment. It's nice to see some of the regular names back again, Greg.
That's
we can
great.
tell the great stories. We know these athletes so well. That's one of the great advantages with this verified racing is we genuinely feel like we know so many of them so intimately, and we'll get to know so many of them, so many more intimately as well.
Absolutely. So just to keep in mind, we would love you to send through any feedback and comments, shout outs, whatever you like. We have got nearly 500 people watching live just on Facebook at the moment, Tim. So if you're interested, if you want to know more, let us know. KoaSportsLeague.com. You can sign up. You'll be starting next week, and actually you can probably even start this week, I would imagine. So just get in there, get amongst it, share it with your friends. It's all free. And we are looking forward to this race absolutely lighting up. And the great little man at the front there, Tommy Warwood, he's one of the busiest Australians in retail at the moment. Tim, he works for JB Hi-Fi. And
Is that right?
Yeah, he's
Why are they busy?
He's sold out of TVs, computers, everything.
Everyone's tightening up, obviously.
Everyone's
So we've got Karim Bari. Great to see Karim in there. So of course it is about 8:45 in Melbourne and Sydney. So great to see a lot of them on. Of course they're about to flick back an hour and come back to the real time of Australian Eastern Standard Time.
The Queensland time, Tim's the only real time. Look at that, Steve Davies there.
Nice tight pack.
Steve Davies established himself at the back of that group as well. So really good to see that. There's your good man there, Rusty Devlin. Tim, he's still got your tattoo strapped straight on his arm that you signed at the cafe there a couple of weeks ago down in Mooloolaba. So good to see Rusty in there. And Greg still loves vanilla slice coming across. That's great, isn't it?
I'm never taking that out.
That's great.
I'm never taking that out. Greg, of course, is a vegan unless there's a great vanilla slice on offer after a big hill ride.
Oh, man.
You love the hills. You love the hill. Nice front pack here, Greg. Everyone's sort of really, staying together really nicely.
Absolutely. There's... I'm not too sure what we're actually on here, but everyone is together, which is very, very strange indeed. We're just going to check out what's going on there, and we'll get back to the action.
So we've got Aiden Sinclair, of course, in there as well, and Sarah Goodyear, and we've got Alex West in there, who at 3.4 watts per kilo, going beautifully well. And we're just going to take a very, very short break here, and we'll be back with more of the action very, very shortly.
She's put to group. So we are back, Tim, and this was always going to be a pilot, which we said at the start. So a couple of technical issues coming through. What you're going to see is, doesn't matter what power these guys put down, it looks like a little glitch in the system where the riders are being kept together, which we haven't seen before in any Koa Sports Warrior race, and hence the reason why we've done this as a pilot. There's no points tonight. So what I would encourage all the athletes to do is go and have a crack. We're going to keep talking as we go through for a period of time. We can talk about the league, what's coming up and all these sorts of things. The other little glitch in there as well is that the athletes should be seen in their own colours. So starting from the next race we have,
you get to wear your own
you will
team
be
colours,
wearing
of
your own
course.
kit.
Yeah,
So-
of course. So you can even see with the keep everyone together functionality that there's already 6 second spread. So we was just starting to sort of work out that there was a few athletes in there that potentially probably shouldn't actually be riding side by side. And we're like, geez, this is a really nicely tight bunch group. But now a chance for them to all to sort of get to know each other and rub shoulders and work it off the front there. So Alex West there. So Alex West out on the Canyon Racing team. So
Hales out of New Zealand.
Superstar. So great esports athlete, and doing really great things in the world of Zwift racing, and so is Team Canyon, of course, Greg. They are just getting some big results, and you've
Huge.
got other big teams in there as well.
Yeah, so the other team to highlight too is, Tim, there's a member there of the Dirt Crew as well, Dad's Inside Riding Trainers, which are a huge group on the Zwift community platform. And we can see Black there, AHDR, so clearly from the Australian Hump Day ride, and part of that big crew that gets around on Zwift every week on a Wednesday in Australia. And we will obviously be calling the Chop race coming up in about 3 weeks' time as well. So
yeah, and a little preview here also. Tomorrow morning, we've got, of course, the community race, the Zwift community race, and the Koa Sports League race just back to back as well. And of course, they will be here on the Astoria line. So a chance also for these riders to get a bit of a feel for the course, Greg. Maybe do a bit of a reconnaissance, work out whether they can attack, work out little strategies, things like that as well. So a great chance to do literally a bit of a reconnaissance ride as a group together and roll around and test out the legs, work out potentially how you can hold certain power on certain races, because there's one thing is for sure on this course, is that it absolutely packs a punch in so many different ways, in so many different places.
yeah, so definitely one of the things to gather out of tonight in a situation where everything hasn't quite worked as it should is to gather up some healthy data on. We're going to be racing this course every 4 weeks in the Koa Sports League, so you'll become very familiar with a double lapper around Astoria, and some of the athletes I've seen in there tonight. Shout out to Luke Gilbert, Tim, who I know has joined the league. He holds the Strava record around here. There's over 800,000 people have done the double lapper, and he's number one, and it's about 28 minutes flat for 2 laps.
Jeepers.
So we certainly 28 flat. So just over, I think. So we definitely won't see those sort of times tonight with the group being held together, but we will see possibly that record tumble as we go through the series.
And perhaps a good time also, just as coaches, just to give some insights, maybe some introduction if you are tuning in for the first time. If you're one of those essentially 450 people watching on Facebook or 100 or so on YouTube, and you are tuning in for the very first time, let's walk you through sort of what you're looking at, because I still remember the first time I watched
idea.
I think I was watching on Zwift Community Live. I was watching Nathan commentator race, and whilst I used Zwift, I really couldn't really comprehend what was going on in front of me. So so let's have a bit of a walk through that. So at the moment we're watching N Black of AHDR, so the Australian Hump Day Ride Crew, which is of course managed and run by Tim Searle, and we will be doing a lot of those chop races.
Commonly referred to by yourself and I, Tim, from here there on as Surly Chops.
Surly Chops, it goes together really, really well with the race that he manages. So top left, you can see a blue box. That's essentially the numbers of this particular athlete. So the W indicates watts. So at the moment, with a course like this, you're going to see that jump around a lot. Like see at the moment, 386 watts, managing a really nice cadence there, nearly 100 cadence of the RPM. So that's the amount of times, the amount of pedal strokes he is taking per minute, and his heart rate there, 168 beats per minute. So as we get to know these athletes, we'll start to understand their heart rates a lot more, and then we can go back and have a look. So we don't know in Black whether 169 is on threshold, whether he carries a high heart rate, low heart rate. So don't ever just look at the number relative to yourself.
Yep.
So if you're, say, a 55-year-old male and you're doing 171 beats per minute, look out, because 000 is probably on the way, or 911 if you're watching in the USA.
If your name's Aiden Sinclair and you're 16 years of
you're
age,
almost asleep.
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely.
So that's really important with heart rate, that it is absolutely individual per the person. And I don't know whether you've noticed also as a coach, but you can have athletes of the same age, same sort of fitness ability, but they carry such a different heart rate as well.
Different. Yeah. So it's always, it takes us a while even. It takes a lot less time actually as a coach to work this out, because we gather all that data as we go through the training process. But over a period of time within the Koa Sports League, we've been able to identify where the athlete's threshold actually is, and we've also used Zwift Power for a lot of that stuff as well, which has been a great help as we've gone through there as well.
Yeah, so going through again that screen, so now centre top is a white box with a speed, so 45 kilometres per hour is the current speed of the rider that we're watching, Alex West at the moment, out from from the team Canyon. 8.4 kilometres is the distance that he's covered, or this pack has covered, and 103 metres is the total elevation that they've covered also from the most. So we know this is quite a hilly course, and and 11 minutes 48 seconds is the total time elapsed. And so that's bringing that. And then top right, I'll let you explain, Greg, because that's actually a really, really important one for getting your tactics right and just understanding the course.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got the little map down there at the bottom, and you'll see the red dot on the left-hand side, and that's us following Alex. So that will represent, you can sort of see there on that little map, he's going up a slide hill and now going just over the top of that. So we're going to go uphill a little bit more, and then downhill a little bit more. We'll hit the sprint point very shortly as well. You'll see the peaks like any map. Anyone's seen a topographic map like that before? So, or an elevation map, I should say. So the big map there shows rider ahead, which you can see on the red dot there. So very interesting little map if you are racing, and you'll see they'll drag this rider back now as they come through.
Pretty handy.
Absolutely. So you'll see they'll hit the sprint line to start this sprint very shortly. I wouldn't expect too many fireworks, but you can still watch Alex there, Tim, like 170 beats a minute and 500 watts. Like, he ain't mucking around. And Alex would be pretty familiar with what's happened here. Yep. So probably treating this as a good solid hit-out training session. Based in New Zealand, so it's only midnight New Zealand.
I think there'll be some riders in there that haven't.
Right,
and they'll be pretty stoked with how things are panning out at the moment. Yeah. We will see a stretch across the finish line, because even in the keep it together function, you can actually stretch the group. We actually saw that we've actually broken essentially the group. We've broken the functionality designed to keep everyone together. So we will actually see a bit of a dominant finish, particularly with the long 8 or 6 to 8% drag as we come up towards the finish line. So we've covered 10 kilometres at the moment. So we're sort of nearing the end of the first lap. Here's that, Greg, of course, when we've done those live events, this is that end of that sprint con where you get this little ramp here. This is about where the people blow up about here.
Right there.
But they think they've got the chocolates. They think they've got the free Wahoo or whatever the prize is. And that last 2 seconds is just about where it always explodes.
Yeah, she all drags hard the last period of time up to that line. So we're going to come up the hill now. There's the coming the other way. If we're going the other way, at the start of the other sprint.
Oh, we love that.
That's
right
a
on
Tim
bomb.
Valentine
That's a special
bomb right there. So a lot of and the little thumbs across the heads there. We definitely have a lot of people, Tim, watching tonight that I would say have never watched a Zwift race like this. So those those blue thumbs that end up dropping, there's one right there on cue, drops into the rider's pocket, is someone giving him what we call a ride on. So
you'd think
little thumbs up.
There will be, particularly with circumstances at the moment in the world with the boom of indoor training, there will be a lot of people genuinely watching for the first time. So you can jump into any Zwift event if you've got the Zwift Companion app, and that of course you can join an event, or you can obviously join these private races via the league as well. So interesting stuff here. So they're going to come across these little cobbles. This is our sort of, I suppose, our first little look at, obviously, so looking for tomorrow in the community race and obviously the Koa Sports League. Following that as well, you'll see riders now, and particularly teams, really starting to get organised at this part of the circuit. This is where you get that little relief of 5%, 7%, and it starts to slowly ramp up. So a great little view here. So we're coming towards the end of the first lap, but this is the finish line. It's brutal. It's not like along, on of course, Watopia, where you get that downward sweeping sprint finish on Ocean Boulevard, This is quite the opposite. This goes well and truly up. Watch that top right-hand side at the moment, 7-8%. Really, really powerful. We got some power-ups being played, and of course, we're going to go through power-ups in a second.
So, okay, so we're starting to get some gaps coming through, which I don't think is totally accurate at this stage, but you would have seen a lot of power-ups being dropped as the riders came across that point there, and that was in effect, they burn up that power-up, Tim. They get another one as they come through the finish line as well. So Alex West there just slowly starting to push things a little bit off the front, and we've got Werrand in there, the dirt rider, and we've still got Black Devlin, Sinclair, Carter, and O'Day in that front group as well with Tony Goodyear. So plenty happening in that little front group.
Yeah, we've got some people moving through there in the group there. Nice little solid front pack as well, and some people bridging up, of course, on the gap as well. So when you go through, sorry if I tuned out there, but when you go through that banner, you went through...
went through all that?
Yeah, all the power-up stuff. So, that's really good to know, because that's where you obviously you sort of risk it, don't you? You know?
Absolutely.
And if you get the 10 XP, of course, you're
That's
really
Tim's favourite
excited.
ever. So let's just run through a couple of the power-ups that are on feature in our races. So you've got the 10 XP, which comes through, which means that you get 10 XP points towards your next level on Zwift. You also will get a van power-up, Tim, which is helps you with your drafting. You get an aero power up, which is the little helmet, or you also can grab a feather, which will give you 9 kilogram weight advantage for 15 seconds, which on this course would be quite effective on some of these little climbs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, definitely the one that you want on this course is the feather power up for that 8% ramp. That's the one that I'm hoping for when you go underneath the Sprint Com banner at that point of this circuit as well. But while the riders take maybe a little drink, they're going to sit up as we go across the flat section around the back here. We're going to have a little bit of a look here at where we live on the Sunshine Coast. You can't get here at the moment, but when they
might as well look.
When they open the gates again, we thought we'd just rub it in just a little bit, and we'll come straight back to the action. Good stuff. Here we are back. We saw it actually just during there. So we just like to put the letterbox ad up, obviously, from time to time. So the wonderful Sunshine Coast here on Australia, we, of course, run a camp here every year that people can come along to and enjoy the company of each other, but also, most importantly, the company of us fine coaches.
Absolutely. And what 3 better looking coaches could you find in anywhere in Australia, Tim, in a group together? Kappa does a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to the looks of the group, I would have to say. But when I was Kappa's age, mate, I was looking much more sprightly than I am these days, I'd have to say.
Really? I've seen some photos. They're pretty ordinary.
Those in my bigger days.
They're actually pretty ordinary, if you ask me. But of course, so if you want to be part of the league, you can join for free. You just go to koasportsleague.com, get it in there. We'll try and if you want to join during this broadcast, I'll stay up late. I'll try and get through a few of the entries and get them in and try and get you all set up for tomorrow's race. Of course, if you don't get in time, you can just join our massively popular, is that correct?
That's
English?
it. We'll play with
popular,
it. We'll play with
massively popular community race, the Koa Sports League Warrior race in the community as well. Last week we had over 200 starters in that
Already
race.
Got a huge paddock lined up for tomorrow as well.
And 180 finishes, Greg.
Yeah, huge finish rate.
Really impressive. Great stuff.
It's going to be some interesting racing. So just to run through how the league actually operates, and we did this pre-show, which you can go back and have a look at in more detail, but we do have, this is a private verified race. So Give us your data on Training Peaks. You can link that up for free. We're not going to steal you as an athlete or anything like that. We just want to check that things are all legit because as the season goes on, you're going to see some prizes coming through and some benefits from partners that we might gather up along the way as well. So be aware of that.
Yeah, look at this stretch here now. So Alex West there, 8 watts per kilo, just a lazy 500 watts as he works his way up here to the top of the ramp. Look at the stretch. So that's what I'm saying about the finish. So even though that sort of keep it together is on, or potentially we're trying to figure that out, you still get that stretch. So we're going to see some fireworks in the finish
absolutely,
here tonight.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got Stretton, Sinclair, West there, and I think that's Daz Carter's still in that group too, off the front, Tim. Yep. So previews, Daz. His 3-year-old clearly hasn't ripped his leg off yet. So the thing about the aero tuck is if you can gather that on this course, do not touch the pedals. If that trainer rolls over at all, you'll lose your aero tuck and you'll be sitting up gathering the wind again. So you see that rider there in third wheel. I think that's actually Aiden. No, that's not Aiden. Might be. That's Alex West actually with the disc.
Yep.
So
he's and the pink hat.
Very experienced Zwift racer indeed, and representing that Kenyan ZCC team. And about 2 hours ago, Tim, I think they might have taken down that gravel race that was called on Zwift Live as well.
And Tebow rolling on through. So given the nature of this course, how it sort of weaves and it ducks its way around Central Park, you do get a little bit of a mixing here. So you'll see some blue and yellow dots on the right-hand side. So again, we're trying to really educate if those are watching for the first time, thinking about doing an event. So C grade, D grade there indicated in yellow. So they're not going to essentially lap those athletes, but they just, because the course weaves its way through Central Park, they start to populate through the leaderboard. But rest assured that Alex West there leading the way, and you can see a little bit of a cluster there back there of Nadia Backler and Sarah Goodyear and Nicole.
Yeah, so looking at one of the riders in that front group there, Tim, is Stretton, an under-19 rider as well. And I'll be looking, if we were running an under-20 competition, it's going to be on for the season between him and the young Aiden Sinclair. So look out for some of these younger riders. Some of the power that these young guys are pulling is absolutely ridiculous.
Tight front pack now, Greg. Really tight front pack. So such is the power that they're pushing. They're starting to break the elastic band, so to speak, if you push hard enough. So looks like Tebow down there, he's 11 seconds back, so that's going to be very hard. A little cluster back there of three riders, and we've got, of course, a pack of 5 riders. So we've got Stretton in here, the under 19-year-old, Aiden Sinclair, about under 19, let's just call it that.
Under 12.
He's definitely not under 12. Alex West and Luke O'Day in there as well. So 5 riders here in the front pack. So a good early indication of potentially some riders that we're going to see throughout the season 2 of the Koa Sports League.
100%, Tim. And there's a whole lot of riders that are going to line up next week. And there's a couple of teams actually that I'll expect to see definitely tomorrow in the community race as well. We'll see Team Finesse come back, and they are defending the title at the moment week after week after week, although they did get rolled last week by the great JPV from Clan Knox, who timed his attack perfectly in the Koa Sports Warrior race on the Friday morning Australian and Thursday night US timed race. So, plenty to come in the Koa Sports League. One of the other features, Tim, that we haven't spoken about once yet, and I think it's actually the best part of the league for me. As a coach, I love doing it, is the live group workout. So if you join the league, you will get access to our live workouts, and they are structured workouts right across the entire season, which runs for approximately 4 months. And every one of those workouts, that's a bit of a lie. I like lying. So most of those workouts, depending on where the 3 of us are in the world and the conditions of what's happening in the world at the time, we will have a live Zoom call that you can dial into for free as well. And we're going to do some education stuff around cycling. One thing I pick up all the time is riders that cramp their shoulders up. They become turtles on the bike. So that's a good one to pick up straight away. But we definitely look and engage with the community in relation to any questions you might have on how to improve your cycling to race better, which is ultimately what you want to do.
It's fair to say that Zoom shares have probably gone up in the last few weeks. So
it's 20 cents.
It was funny
Missed
about.
that boat.
Was it a couple of years ago? We jumped on a Zwift workout and we had the Zoom call and we had the little earpiece in, and people are now starting to discover that you can be quite an effective coach from anywhere in the world. So last year we had a workout. I remember it was we had athletes in 11 countries.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And 27 athletes on board, and we sort of roll around the mega wall and talk to athletes, find out their stories, because everyone has a story. Everyone has a story, and I love telling stories.
Oh, yeah. You love putting mayo on everything as well. So if you haven't heard, Tim is a big... If you're watching out in Australia, you'll be aware of the Richmond Tigers, and Tim has a Richmond Tiger tattooed on his left buttock. Is that right?
That is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous comment by you. And, of course, it's of Dylan Grimes, who won us the premiership last year. So
Lucky it wasn't of Alex Rance, Tim. You would have been getting it erased by now.
Not long to go now in tonight's race. Not long to go at all. So just remember that on April 9th, we're going to be looping back and linking up with the AHDR crew. And be basically on a Thursday night, we'll be going chop into Koa Sports League race. And let's have a hear from the boss, the great man Tim Searle, and the little promo of the chop race coming up here on Zwift Community Live and Koa Sports.
Hey team, got some great news to share with you. The Chop is coming back to Zwift Community Live broadcast, with Aussies Greg and Tim calling all the action. With race broadcast starting April 9th, we guarantee you'll find some more watts. Ride on.
And of course,
we just got a clip, Tim.
I got the clip. Stop talking. And speaking of stop talking, the great man Kent Cross. Do you want to say something, mate, and just prove that you're doing the production here? And if you are enjoying the production, of course, give us a shout out, give us a share. The more people we get, the better partners we get on board, the better talent we get in the races, and the better production, the better tools that Kent. So, mate, we shouldn't say welcome. You've been going for about half an hour.
For half an hour,
Half
mate.
an hour.
Yeah,
Got
about
here at
6
midday.
hours, 7 hours.
The live broadcast, I meant. He's given me 2 clips.
Do you know, so we're getting into the territory of TV commentary now, Tim. I just got a little bit of a head wobble because they show up at about 11 a.m. for a 7 p.m. kickoff. So we're getting into that sort of... I've been online now.
You started at 4 a.m.
4 a.m.
I got the message at 4 a.m.
4 a.m. this morning, and I got one back saying he was incapacitated at that time and he was going to the park, and you ring me back later. So back to the action. Enough about us.
Back to the action. So we're inside about 2 kilometres to go. So certainly getting to the pointy end here of the Koa Sports League race as well. So they'll start to sort of work their way through here and potentially work their way back through a couple of the riders up the road. So there's Tebow working his way back to the back of the front pack. They'll certainly find their way on there just to 4 seconds back to the front group. But, really interesting. Good reconnaissance for tomorrow's big race in the community race, and great reconnaissance for the league race following that as well. So a great look, better than any sort of ride through. We've got talent out here showing the way and showing the will, and get ready because it is going to be a ripping finish up this ramp. And no predictions, but look at Tebow just flying down on the outside.
His little Tron bike there. Tebow was in prime form, you kept telling me, Tim, for the Tour to Brisbane. So we'll be heading back down to Brisbane, I'm sure, later this year for the big one down in there, the Tour to Brisbane, that Tebow will be on that ride as well. So we're inside the last K.
Inside the last K, so they'll start to get their shape together and they'll start to work out. We may see some early attacks because you can stretch this elastic band. You certainly can stretch it and take the chocolates. So they're going to take this right-hand turn here. They're just coming downhill. This is the chance where you just get to lower that heart rate, maybe 1-2 beats per minute. Start to roll it in there, 240, 160 beats per minute. There is a lot of scope in that heart rate for Alex West, that is for sure. Then they'll take this right-hand hard turn, and then they'll whip their way up and take a left-hander, and then they'll do a U-turn and a jump and go up over to on the bridge. Nick Black here off the front, 8.6 watts per kilo. He's going to try and stretch them out, and we'll see an immediate covering response there as well. Alex West, of course, denoted there with the big disc wheel and the pink cap.
Yeah, and the Dazzler there pushing Aiden Slinkiller now, 11 watts a kilo, Tim. They haven't got too far to go here. They hit this little sprint section.
Yep.
This is where the deceiving point of this course is. They start to go uphill now as they head up towards the finish. So this group's got a little bit bigger as we're going through. So just following Stretton there at the moment, 184 beats a minute and climbing. And we've got Tebow just there off the front. Alex West in that group as well. Sinclair and the great Dazzler, the Daryl Carter out of the UK as well, still hanging in that group. So really good ramp here, 5%, 187 beats a minute from Stretton. Daz still hanging in there as well off the front, and Westy still in that group as well. So just a little bit more of a push to the top of this climb. They roll over the top, Tim, and then you're going to call them home. So
they certainly get to have a good look at each other tonight as well. And no points tonight, but you suspect some of the numbers we've seen up top left. We've seen some massive power as we start to shape here towards the finish, and this is the left-hand turn.
Stay with Alex.
I just got a little bit excited, Greg. I just got a little bit excited. So they're not going to take a left here, of course. They're just going to roll around here and go the up here, and then they're going to get ready for that.
There's a couple of lap
big
riders
8%.
here coming through that have coming through the earlier lap.
Yep, that is 100% correct. So down here, 2%, you can see the gradient starting to roll down, and we're with Alex West at the moment. Tebow there, one of the great Koa Sports Warrior athletes in the beret, and Rusty Devlin still in the front group, the old Trusty Rusty.
That's a new name. We got a new one. We got one out of it.
Trusty Rusty in the front, Dazzler Carter, and we haven't come up with, although I think they call him Alexander of the West.
Yes.
I've heard that come through
Westy.
a little bit.
He's
That
Westy,
doesn't
mate.
really roll off the tongue,
Westy.
Alexander of the West.
Nah.
So here they come onto the left-hand side, and away we go for this epic finish. Look for
You can
some
see the arch.
massive
You can
numbers.
see the arch there now, just up the road, Tim.
Yeah, you've got good eyesight because I certainly
top
can't.
right-hand
You certainly
corner.
can
Top
see
right-hand
it.
corner. There
You
you
certainly can see it. So here they come, 2%. Watch this gradient climb and watch these numbers top left
There they are.
start to kick up. Here come those power-ups being played. Daryl Carter, 11.9 watts per kilo. We got a feather power-up being played. Head to the nose to the wind. Alex West up on the inside. Has he got the power to get it? I don't think he's going to get Stretton. Looks like Stretton's going to hold West off to the line. Stretton's got his head down and gets it. Stretton holds off West in this first league race, and we're back
15
into the
watts
wonderful
per kilo
world of
from
Zwift.
Westy as he tried to chase Stretton down, Tim. 13 watts a kilo. Here's another sprint. We've got a couple of Koa
Alex
Sports
Tolman
guys
there.
in here. Alex Tolman, 9.7 watts a kilo.
O'Day.
And we've got O'Day coming through there. Tony Goodyear just off the back. Here comes Alex. He's coming back over the top with his power up. Up he comes up to that Tron bike. He's just going to miss it by half a bike as he hits that finish line. Just missing that sprint there as well. So Daniel Wells there joins us every week out of Melbourne, AHDR rider as well. We're just following him at the moment and pushing a lazy 400 watts, 176 beats a minute. So he's absolutely tearing it up. Just trying to grab that other gentleman's name. Oh, it's the old Hurt Locker, the old hashtag Hurt Locker. Just ghosting on the wheel. Couple of Tron bikes coming up to the line as well. So these guys now will absolutely jam it. They can just see the finish line coming into their screen on the top right there. So I've got Wellesley off the front, 3.5 watts a kilo. Here comes the Hurt Locker now, 7 watts a kilo. Wells plays his feather power up. He's going to use it early on the way up to the line. Here comes the power up from the Hurt Locker. He's coming straight over the top of Wells. Wells pushing back at 10 watts a kilo. Here comes the Hurt Locker up to the line, 10 watts a kilo as he goes through and takes 2 or 3 bike lengths there over Wells as he comes through. So some great action there, Tim. And Kappa,
Good
if we can
reconnaissance.
cut back to back to Antarctica, mate. Or have you moved me? Oh no, I'm still here. Okay, so some amazing action there tonight. We've got a little bit to play around with on our end, but most importantly, Tim, tomorrow morning, well, my time tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. That's 10 a.m. everybody. 10 a.m. Australian Daylight Saving Standard Time. Jump on the Koa Warrior Race, one of the biggest community races on Zwift at the moment.
And of course, following that I'm going to say 9:45, 45 minutes later, we have the league race as well. So you could do the double. There are a lot of people apparently working from home at the moment, so you could go back to back in a couple of Koa Sports races. So you can go in the community there. Of course, you can join that. Anyone can join that. And if you have enjoyed tonight and you want to be part of the racing and you have a little bit of FOMO going on, just go to koasportsleague.com, sign up, join up. I'll try and get as many as we can get into the league overnight. But fear not, we kick off workouts next week and we are rolling all the way through this year. And of course, shout out to Nathan Guerra of Zwift Community Live, I'd never know what to do with my hands, and my mum even rang me today and said, could you stop mucking around with your hands?
Righto, so next time we're putting him behind your back. So shout out to the great Sue Ballantyne, who's helped us out a lot on the journey here as well. So thanks for joining us, guys. Huge audience tonight. Send through all your feedback, comments, and we look forward to seeing you in about 12 hours at our next event live on Zwift Community Live and Koa Sports.